Ladies and gentlemen, there is a woman who walks alone, a woman with no friends. Society looks at her with curiosity, sometimes with pity, and often with judgment. Why is she alone, they ask. Did she fail to fit in, they whisper. But what if I told you that she is not lonely, she is free? We are taught that being surrounded by people defines our worth. We are told that a woman who has no friends is incomplete. But let me ask you, since when did solitude become a flaw? Being alone is often misunderstood. Society has conditioned us to believe that being surrounded by people equates to success, happiness, and fulfillment. We are taught that having a large social circle is a sign of being loved, valued, and accepted. But what if a woman chooses to walk alone? What if she has no friends? Does that make her weak? Absolutely not. A woman with no friends is not a woman who has failed in life. She is a woman who has discovered a different kind of strength, the strength that comes from within. The world often sees loneliness as a flaw, something to be fixed or avoided. But true loneliness is not the absence of people. It is the absence of connection, especially the connection with oneself. A woman who has no friends is not necessarily lonely. She might be someone who has embraced her own company, someone who has found solace in solitude rather than seeking comfort in superficial relationships. There is power in standing alone. When a woman has no friends, she is forced to look inward, to rely on herself, and to build her own foundation. She learns to be independent, to trust her instincts, and to make decisions without the influence of others. She discovers her own voice, unfiltered and unapologetic. She does not need approval to feel worthy, nor does she need validation to know she is enough. The world may question her. Why does she not have friends? Is she difficult to be around? Is she lonely? But what they fail to see is the depth of her strength. She does not beg for companionship because she understands that true connections cannot be forced. She refuses to settle for shallow relationships just to avoid being alone. Instead, she chooses to invest in herself. She spends her time learning, growing, and becoming the best version of herself. There are many reasons why a woman may find herself without friends. Perhaps she has outgrown the people she once called friends. Maybe she has experienced betrayal and decided to step back from relationships that no longer serve her. Or maybe she has realized that not all friendships are built on genuine care and loyalty. Whatever the reason, choosing solitude over toxic relationships is an act of bravery, not weakness. It is during this time of solitude that she truly discovers herself. She learns about her strengths, her passions, and her dreams. She finds joy in her own presence, knowing that her worth is not dependent on who stands beside her. She becomes her own support system, her own best friend. And in doing so, she unlocks a level of strength that many never find. Some of the most powerful women in history have spent periods of their lives in solitude. They did not need a crowd to rise. They did not need constant validation to believe in their dreams. They walked alone, not because they were unwanted, but because they were unstoppable. A woman who has no friends is not a woman who is failing. She is a woman who is preparing for something greater. This journey is not always easy. There will be moments of doubt, moments when she feels the weight of silence pressing down on her. There will be times when she wishes she had someone to lean on, someone to share her burdens with. And in those moments, she must remind herself that she is enough. She must remember that solitude is not a punishment, but an opportunity, a chance to build herself in ways that external relationships never could. When the time is right, the right people will come. She will attract individuals who see her for who she truly is, not for who she pretends to be. She will form connections that are genuine, built on mutual respect and understanding, and these relationships will be far more meaningful than any forced friendships ever could be. She walks alone not because she has to, but because she chooses to, and in that choice lies her greatest power. When a woman finds herself without friends, society often assumes she is incomplete, as if her value depends on the presence of others. But the truth is, self-love is the foundation of true happiness, and a woman who embraces her own worth does not need external validation to feel fulfilled. Friendship is a beautiful aspect of life, but no relationship, whether with friends, family, or even a life partner, can replace the importance of the relationship a woman has with herself. Self-love is not arrogance. It is not about believing that one is superior to others. It is about understanding one's worth, acknowledging one's flaws, and embracing every part of oneself without shame or self-doubt. When a woman has no friends, she is given a unique opportunity to cultivate this relationship with herself in a way that many never experience. She has the space to reflect on her thoughts, emotions, and aspirations without external interference. She learns to enjoy her own company, to celebrate her own achievements, and to comfort herself in difficult times. Many women fall into the trap of seeking external validation to feel worthy. They surround themselves with people not because they deeply connect with them, but because they fear being alone. They enter relationships that drain them, tolerate friendships that belittle them, and compromise their values just to feel included. But a woman who truly loves herself does not settle for empty companionship. She understands that loneliness is not about the absence of people, but about the absence of self-acceptance. A woman without friends may feel moments of doubt. Society tells her that having a social circle is a measure of success, that being popular equates to being loved. But she must remind herself that love begins within. If she does not love herself, no amount of friendships can fill that void. True self-love means standing in front of a mirror and recognizing one's own value, even when no one else is there to affirm it. It means knowing that she is enough, whether she is surrounded by 100 people or standing alone in silence. A woman has the chance to grow in ways that constant social interaction may not allow. She can develop her passions, pursue her dreams, and focus on her personal development without distractions. She can listen to her own needs and cater to them with kindness rather than depending on others to provide her with comfort and reassurance. This is the true essence of self-love. Not waiting for the world to validate her existence, but embracing her own worth with open arms. There will be days when she struggles, days when she longs for companionship and wonders if she is missing out, and that is okay. Self-love does not mean never feeling lonely. It means knowing how to care for oneself in those moments of loneliness. It means replacing self-doubt with self-compassion, speaking to oneself with kindness instead of criticism, and understanding that being alone does not mean being unworthy of love. Something beautiful happens. A woman who loves herself begins to attract the right people into her life, not out of desperation but out of alignment. She no longer clings to relationships that drain her. Instead, she welcomes only those who uplift her. The friendships she eventually forms are not based on fear of being alone, but on genuine connection. And because she has taken the time to understand herself, she is able to recognize those who truly value and respect her. She remains whole, because she knows that her happiness was never meant to depend on others. It was always within her. She is not a woman who is missing something. She is a woman who has discovered the most important thing of all, herself. Society has always been quick to place labels on women, defining their worth by their relationships, their social status, or their ability to fit into predefined molds. A woman without friends is often viewed with suspicion, as if she is somehow flawed, difficult, or unworthy of companionship. People whisper, "Why is she alone? What is wrong with her?" The assumption is that if a woman is not surrounded by friends, then she must be lacking in some way. But this belief is not just misleading, it is entirely wrong. A woman's worth is not defined by how many friends she has. It is not measured by the number of invitations she receives or the social circles she belongs to. It is measured by her character, her resilience, her ability to stand tall even when the world tries to push her down. But society struggles to see this. Instead, it equates popularity with value, as if a woman is only worthy if others approve of her. This deeply ingrained belief causes many women to stay in unfulfilling friendships just to avoid judgment. They silence their own voices, tolerate mistreatment, and ignore their own needs, just to maintain the illusion of being socially accepted. The woman who walks alone does so not because she is unworthy, but because she refuses to compromise herself just to fit in. She does not seek friendships for validation. She does not force connections just to escape solitude. She understands that her presence in this world is significant, whether or not others acknowledge it. She has the courage to break free from the expectations placed upon her, to live on her own terms rather than being bound by societal pressures. Breaking stereotypes is not easy. It takes strength to walk a path that others don't understand. People will assume she is lonely, when in reality she is simply selective about who she allows into her life. They will mistake her independence for arrogance, when in truth, she has learned to rely on herself. They will see her solitude as a weakness, when in fact, it is her greatest strength. The truth is, many women remain in toxic friendships simply because they fear the label of being friendless. They hold on to relationships that drain them because they have been conditioned to believe that being alone is a failure. They sacrifice their mental and emotional well-being just to avoid judgment. But a woman who chooses to break free from this cycle is not weak. She is powerful. She is someone who understands that being alone is better than being surrounded by the wrong people. In a world that constantly tells women to seek approval, a woman who does not rely on external validation is a revolutionary. She is the one who rewrites the narrative, who shows others that happiness is not found in the number of people who surround you, but in the quality of your own relationship with yourself. She teaches that friendships should be based on mutual respect, not on the fear of being alone. She proves that solitude is not a sign of failure, but a space for growth, healing, and self-discovery. The world will learn to see her differently. At first, they will judge her, question her, even pity her, but as she continues to stand firm in her self-worth, something shifts. They begin to admire her. They see her resilience, her confidence, her ability to thrive without depending on social validation. And slowly, they begin to understand that a woman who has no friends is not a woman who is lacking. She is a woman who has chosen herself first. She is not broken. She is not an outcast. She is simply a woman who refuses to be defined by anyone but herself. Growth happens in silence. In a world that constantly demands noise, attention, and external validation, few people recognize the power of solitude. A woman who finds herself without friends is often perceived as someone who is missing out on life, someone who must feel empty or lost. But what if her solitude is not a sign of weakness but a space for transformation? What if the moments spent alone are the ones that shape her into the strongest version of herself? When a woman is alone, she has the rare opportunity to hear herself think. Without the constant influence of others, she can reflect on who she is, what she wants, and what truly matters to her. This period of introspection allows her to recognize her strengths, acknowledge her weaknesses, and cultivate a deeper understanding of herself. She is no longer making decisions based on what others expect from her. Instead, she learns to trust her own instincts, to rely on her own judgment, and to move forward with confidence in her choices. Many people fear being alone because they associate it with loneliness. But there is a difference between solitude and isolation. Solitude is a choice, a space for self-discovery and personal development. A woman who spends time in solitude is not avoiding life. She is preparing for it. She is investing in her personal growth, sharpening her mind, and strengthening her emotional resilience. She is learning to stand on her own, not because she has to, but because she knows the value of self-sufficiency. Silence teaches lessons that conversations never can. In the quiet moments of life, a woman begins to understand herself on a deeper level. She realizes what excites her, what drains her, and what fulfills her. She starts to recognize patterns in her life, why she has made certain choices, why some relationships have worked and others have not. This self-awareness becomes the foundation of her future success. Without the distractions of constant social interactions, she gains clarity about her goals, her passions, and the kind of life she wants to build. Growth requires discomfort, and solitude often brings that discomfort to the surface. When a woman is alone, she is faced with her own thoughts, her fears, and her insecurities. At first, it may feel unsettling. She may question herself, wonder if something is wrong with her, or feel pressure to re-enter social circles just to escape the silence. But if she allows herself to sit with these emotions, to truly process them rather than running from them, she will find something extraordinary, inner strength. She will learn that she does not need external validation to feel complete. She will understand that her value does not depend on how many people surround her, but on the person she is becoming. Personal growth is not always visible to the outside world. While others may measure success by social status or public achievements, real transformation happens internally. It happens in the moments when no one is watching, when a woman chooses to read instead of scroll through distractions, when she takes time to develop new skills instead of seeking external entertainment. It happens when she prioritizes her mental and emotional well-being, when she sets boundaries, when she learns to say no to what no longer serves her. There is a reason why some of the greatest minds in history have embraced solitude. Creativity, wisdom, and self-mastery often emerge from quiet moments of reflection. A woman who is alone is given the rare opportunity to tap into her full potential, to listen to the thoughts and ideas that may have been drowned out by external noise. She begins to realize that her solitude is not a curse, it is a gift. It is a time for her to grow, to heal, and to become the person she was meant to be. And when she emerges from this period of growth, she will be stronger, wiser, and more confident than ever before. She will no longer feel the need to seek approval from others because she has built a foundation of self-trust. She will no longer fear being alone because she has discovered the power within herself. She will attract the right people, not because she needs them, but because she has become someone who knows her worth. A woman without friends is not a woman who is failing. She is a woman who is evolving, growing, and becoming unstoppable. And when the world finally sees her, they will not see a woman who is alone. They will see a woman who has transformed in silence, a woman who has found her strength, and a woman who is ready to take on the world on her own terms. In a world that constantly emphasizes the importance of companionship, it is easy to believe that having no friends is a sign of failure. Society teaches us that being surrounded by people equates to happiness, success, and validation. A woman who finds herself alone is often seen as incomplete, as if something is missing from her life. A woman who has no friends is not someone who is undeserving of companionship. She is not someone who cannot build relationships or maintain connections. Instead, she is someone who refuses to settle for superficial friendships. She is someone who values depth, authenticity, and mutual respect over temporary company. She understands that not all relationships are meant to last, and she is not afraid to walk away from those that no longer align with who she is becoming. It is important to remember that life is a journey, and throughout this journey, people will come and go. Some friendships will serve a purpose for a short time, while others may last for years. But not every person we meet is meant to stay with us forever. A woman who is currently alone may simply be in a phase of transition, a period of self-growth that requires her to walk alone for a while. And this is not a bad thing. This is a necessary part of life. One of the greatest lessons a woman can learn is that it is better to be alone than to be in the wrong company. Many people force friendships out of fear, fear of loneliness, fear of judgment, fear of missing out. But a woman who understands her worth does not build connections based on fear. She builds them on trust, on mutual understanding, and on shared values. She knows that true friendships are not about filling a void, but about enriching each other's lives. When she embraces this mindset, something beautiful happens. She begins to attract the right people. The friendships that enter her life are not forced. They are not built on pretense or obligation. Instead, they form naturally, drawn together by genuine connection. These are the friendships that uplift her, inspire her, and support her through both victories and struggles. These are the friendships that do not demand her to change who she is, but rather celebrate her for exactly who she has become. But until these connections arrive, she is not waiting in desperation. She is using her time wisely. She is investing in herself, learning, growing, and evolving. She is strengthening her mind, healing her heart, and discovering what truly makes her happy. She is not looking for people to complete her because she knows she is already whole. The right people will find her when the time is right. They will not need explanations for why she has spent time alone. They will not question her worth based on the number of friends she has had before them. They will see her for who she truly is, and they will appreciate the journey she has walked. She continues forward with confidence, knowing that being alone is not the same as being lonely. She refuses to lower her standards just to fit in. She does not chase after people who do not value her presence. She understands that friendships, like all meaningful relationships, should be built on mutual respect and sincerity. And when she does find those who align with her soul, she will know it was worth the wait. She will know that she never truly needed to search for them, because the right people will always recognize her when the time is right. Strength is often misunderstood. The world tends to associate strength with physical power, loud voices, and visible success. But true strength is not always seen, it is felt. It is the kind of strength that allows a woman to stand alone, to walk a path without external validation, and to find peace in her own company. A woman who has no friends is often assumed to be weak, to be missing something essential, but in reality, she possesses a kind of inner strength that many fail to recognize. A woman who walks alone does not do so because she cannot find companionship. She does so because she has learned to rely on herself. She has faced life's challenges without leaning on a crowd for support. She has fought silent battles, wiped her own tears, and picked herself up after every fall. She has built herself piece by piece, not with the help of others, but with the resilience she carries within. It is easy to stand strong when you have people cheering you on, reassuring you, reminding you of your worth. But the real test of strength comes when there is no one there to do that for you. A woman with no friends has learned to be her own cheerleader. She has learned to celebrate her victories, no matter how small, and to push forward even when no one is watching. She does not seek approval because she knows that her value is not determined by how many people surround her. It is determined by how she sees herself. There is a unique kind of bravery in choosing solitude. Many people remain in friendships that do not serve them simply because they're afraid of being alone. They tolerate disrespect, they bend over backward to please others, and they silence their own voices just to maintain a sense of belonging. But a woman who has no friends is a woman who has refused to settle. She has chosen to prioritize her peace, her mental well-being, and her self-respect over forced relationships. She understands that strength is not about enduring pain for the sake of companionship. Strength is about knowing when to walk away. It is about having the courage to stand firm in one's values, even if it means standing alone. She would rather be alone in authenticity than be surrounded by people who do not truly understand or appreciate her. This kind of strength does not come easily. It is built through experiences, through hardships, through moments of doubt and self-reflection. There are days when she feels the weight of solitude, days when she wonders if something is wrong with her, days when she longs for someone to share her thoughts with. But even in those moments, she does not break. She reminds herself that solitude is not a punishment. It is a phase of growth. She knows that every step she takes alone is making her stronger, wiser, and more resilient. This strength transforms her. She becomes a woman who does not fear solitude, who does not seek validation, and who does not compromise herself to fit in. She becomes someone who stands tall in her own truth, someone who carries herself with confidence and grace. People may not always understand her journey, but they cannot ignore the presence she carries. And when the world looks at her, they do not see a woman who is weak. They see a woman who is unshakable. They see a woman who has built herself from the ground up, who has faced life alone and emerged even stronger. They see a woman who does not need a crowd to feel complete. Because true strength is not about how many people stand beside you. It is about how firmly you stand when you are on your own. A woman with no friends is not a woman who is lacking. She is a woman who is discovering herself in ways few dare to. She is not defined by the absence of companionship, but by the presence of self-love, resilience, and unwavering strength. Society may question her solitude, but she knows that true happiness does not come from external validation. It comes from within. Her journey is not one of loneliness, but of self-discovery. In her silence, she finds clarity. In her solitude, she grows. And in her independence, she cultivates a strength that cannot be shaken. She does not chase after friendships that do not align with her values, nor does she settle for connections that drain her spirit. Instead, she walks forward with confidence, knowing that the right people will find her in time, and even if they do not, she remains whole. She is proof that a woman does not need a crowd to be powerful. She does not need approval to be worthy. She does not need a constant presence of others to shine. She stands as a testament to the fact that being alone does not mean being broken. It means being brave enough to embrace one's own journey unapologetically and wholeheartedly.